Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name's Matt.
My name is Dyl, and before we can dive inside of today's updated Best Picture predictions, I want to give another shout out to a member of our server, Bears. They are putting together an aggregate of predictions by the members of the Filmball community, which you can join in the link down below on Discord. And essentially, as we scroll through here, you can see it's basically all of our members' thoughts on the best picture, best actor, director, and so on races. You can see how they differ from yours, how they differ from Matt and myself. And if you want to add your personal predictions to this community aggregate over on Awards Experts, join our Discord. The link is down below. And we may have told a little bit of a fib last time. Our updated screenplay and director video was not going to be later that week. Instead,
No.
we are in a completely brand new month. So why don't we revert everything, go back to Best Picture, because a lot of things have changed. I've attended 2 film festivals. I've gotten to see a lot of these movies. Matt, I'm sure, has catch some of these movies in the last few weeks. And I
Yeah.
mean, so many new things have gone on inside the race in the past, what has it been, 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks. It's been a while. We keep saying we're busy, but still, we're really busy right now. This is crazy. I just wrapped on shooting a short film on 16 millimeter, which is exciting, but it also means I've barely had time to think about any of this. Dill, you've just started a new job. This is our lives are lifing right now, but we are excited. We can talk about some of these movies. You've seen so many more of these. I think this might be the first year where between the two of us, I'm the one lagging behind a bit.
You didn't get the opportunity to go to the Toronto International Film Festival this year, where
Yeah.
you typically knock off so many movies. Looking at my Best Picture lineup, I've seen 8 of these 10 so far, and honestly, by the time we'll do our next Best Picture video, I probably would have seen 10 of the 10 in the Best Picture lineup.
Wow. Okay. I've only seen 5 of my 10, but let's get right into things. I think you and I both still agree One Battle After Another. It's winning Best Picture this year.
I do agree, but I'm not in the camp of this is the undeniable season sweeper from start to end. Like it seems like most of the community has kind of rallied behind these last few weeks. I do agree with almost every case for why this movie would be the next Best Picture winner. The box office is not going to be a profitable movie, but it's also not going to be this mega major loser. It's doing kind of what you and I had said the upper echelon of what its prospects could be, the Killers of the Flower Moon numbers, which honestly, this is going to come within like 20 million to Killers of the Flower Moon's total, which to me at the beginning of the year would have been a sort of negative to it. But looking at the field and the slate of its competitors, this has been a pretty much positive for it, especially with how dire the box office has been for the last month. I think the biggest thing, the biggest roadblock there is for One Battle After Another to win is the fact that its main competitor isn't a colder film, isn't a film that you typically would say the contender of where you appreciate it more than you love it. Because Hamnet is a movie that clearly people love. Every festival it goes to, it's winning the festival prize. And clearly, this is a movie that's connecting with audiences high and wide. And while it may not be the super fun movie that One Battle After Another is, it sure has a great case for why it is 1B, at least in my Best Picture rankings.
There's such industry love around One Battle After Another, around Paul Thomas Anderson. This feels like an Oppenheimer moment, and I think that this will be as big of a contender across the board as Oppenheimer was. So I do think that this sweeps the season. Granted, I think that there's a chance that Hamnet takes away BAFTA. Otherwise, though, One Battle After Another just feels so big, so undeniable. And although early in the year, you and I were beating the drum of this is going to be a box office flop and that's going to kill its chances, that argument only would have made sense if people were talking about this the way that they talked about Babylon, where Babylon was the joke of everyone. I remember, I think it was even the Golden Globes, where they ragged on Babylon for losing the studio a ton of money. And despite the fact that One Battle After Another is in no means profitable, it is not being talked about as a flop, which it has in common with Killers of the Flower Moon. I think people understand that there is a bigger purpose behind them than just making money. There's so much support for this film out there critically with audiences that actually went to see the film and seemingly within the industry. So I'm charging forward. Granted, I have not seen Hamnet. I cannot say whether or not this is the tearjerker that's going to warm at everyone's hearts while breaking them at the same time. I think it's clearly the runner up, but I always go back to those pesky stats. Not only is it really hard to win Best Picture if you've been nominated before, which both Paul Thomas Anderson and Chloe Zhao have been, but it's extra hard to win Best Picture a second time if you've already won. The last person to do that was Clint Eastwood for Million Dollar Baby. Otherwise, you don't win Best Picture twice, and Chloe Zhao doing it in the span of 5 years is, I don't know if it's unprecedented, but it hasn't happened recently at all. No, it's not unprecedented because definitely, at least off the top of my head, Robert Wise did it for West Side Story and The Sound of Music. Francis Ford Coppola. What am I talking about? The Godfather and Godfather Part 2. That's a very close turnaround. But I just don't see it for Chloe Zhao. Hamnet's biggest competition in every category except Best Actress is one battle after another.
PTA, people talked about it all season long. He's 0 for 11. This is his chance to at least get one, if not two, if not three, if not four for this movie. While with Chloe Zhao, she just won for her last, I guess, official directing title, even if Eternals came out afterwards. We go back just a few years to AGI. He had a chance to go back to back, but he came up a little bit short with The Revenant, and maybe that's kind of what Hamnet's destiny is here, where maybe it does win BAFTA, maybe it does win Globe, maybe it could win somewhere else, but at the end of the day, they're going to go with the person who they haven't had the opportunity to award. So then we get down the list a little bit more, and this is where I think our lists start to really divert from each other, because
Yeah.
after rewatching this movie twice in the last few weeks, seeing how many people had seen the movie already and were so excited to watch it again, seeing people who clearly had not watched this movie before and come out of it just loving the film. I think Sinners is one that fits the mold for the typical blockbuster that just goes down the ranks throughout the season. But what I'm seeing compared to stuff like Barbie or stuff like Dune Part 2 or going back to other examples, even outside of Warner Brothers movies, is the fact that this film has the additional pedigree to it where Coogler did shoot this film in an interesting style where I think the directing branch could go out for him where he would not be the typical snub, as well as the fact that this has a great argument, unlike Dune, unlike Barbie, to win its screenplay category, and it could bring along multiple technical at least nominations, if not maybe wins along with it. I think it does have a great shot to remain top five in the Best Picture race.
I would call it top five, but my problem with Sinners is what is it winning? Because I don't have it winning screenplay. I see it being third in that category behind both Sentimental Value and Marty Supreme, possibly even It Was Just an Accident. What is it going to win? For me, just song. And that's not even guaranteed. Some people would say Golden might win. I disagree, but what is Sinners gonna win? And that's what keeps this down for me. Meanwhile, I have Sentimental Value and Marty Supreme fighting for that third spot. I think they're much closer than I initially would have liked to admit. I just rewatched Sentimental Value this week. All of the friends that I brought along, almost all of them loved it too. I had, I think, two holdouts that did not love the film as much. They were kind of cold on it. I know you were a little bit colder on it, Dylan, but coming out of it, I still think that this takes supporting actor. I still think that this takes original screenplay. Ultimately, though, whatever takes original screenplay is number three.
And that's completely fair. And I think that while you may have this battle between Sentimental Value and Mari Supreme, I would take the other two movies as the battle for the original screenplay of Sinners and It Was Just an Accident. This could be this could be a wild thing, but after watching It Was Just an Accident, and this isn't just because they both won the Palme d'Or, but my immediate reaction was how our conversation back in the Oppenheimer year when it was like, well, if Barbie's fleeing to adapted screenplay, it's not going to be holdovers, it's not going to be past lives. What about Anatomy of a Fall? And that's kind of how I feel with Accident this year after watching the movie. I feel like it's got the juice, it's got the conversation behind it, and I think that if this comes to fruition or if it goes to Sentimental Value, the winner will be established at the Golden Globes. They pick between these two movies, or maybe they go with something like Mario Supreme or Sinners, or maybe they go with one of the adapted movies, which they typically haven't done that many times. But I think that our original screenplay frontrunner will be established there. Right now, after watching both those movies and just seeing my gut reaction to them, I would lean accident over sentimental value, but I get that is a very not common take at the moment.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about It Was Just an Accident because despite the fact that I, since Cannes, have been saying there's no goddamn chance this is an Oscar movie, and if this is an Oscar movie, then we can treat the Cannes Palme d'Or the same way we've been treating the TIFF People's Choice Award, in that it's just automatically a ticket to the Oscars because I thought this movie was so un-Oscar-y. Neon has done an amazing job of getting this in front of the right people. This is not screening at all of the biggest AMCs. This is not a big multiplex movie. In New York City, this is playing at like three theaters, and they are all of the biggest art house theaters. So if you want to see an art house film, if you want to see one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year, you have to search for it. It's not going to just fall onto someone who doesn't know what they're getting into. People who want to see this movie and want to see Panahi succeed are seeking this movie out. And what that's saying to me is something very similar to what happened with Drive My Car back in 2021, where it was a little bit of a more dense film, a little bit more of a challenging film. But in that year, Janice got it in front of the right people. It wasn't about numbers. It wasn't about getting it in front of everyone. It was about targeting right now. Maybe foolish, but I think that the top three Neon movies all have the passion that they need to get into the top 10. No Other Choice is clearly a massive crowd pleaser, winning the International People's Choice Award at TIFF. Meanwhile, you've got Sentimental Value, which is the more middle-brow film of the bunch. It's the one that is going to speak to people's hearts. And then there's It Was Just an Accident, which is appealing to the highbrow. All of them have different voters, have different paths. Their nomination packages all feel pretty similar across the board, but I think all of them have what very few other movies outside of my top 10 have this year, which is passion. People love these movies and will fight for them. And that is why I am foolishly putting three Neon movies into the top 10, which we haven't seen anything like since Lionsgate had three Best Picture nominees in 2016.
And you talk about passion. My passion fills up two movies I will get to see in about a week or two, are films that most people haven't seen yet, and that is Wicked for Good and Marty Supreme. These are two films that I think will be massively backed by their online presence. And that's the big asterisk with these movies, is we don't really know how to properly judge them because the only audiences to see them yet that are allowed to publicly speak about them are their core demographics. Marty Supreme, the New York Film Festival crowd, the A24 heads, all of the influencers who got into that screening who were either Timmy super fans or whatever, raved the movie. I have no doubts that this movie is going to be super fun. How top to bottom of the contender can it be? Is it going to get up to that 10, 11, 12 nomination ceiling that some people out there have it for? Or is it going to hit those they're very small, but there are a few people out there who aren't huge fans of the movie, but still do respect Timmy's performance and some of the craft works inside this movie. So it's going to be more of a bottom tier Best Picture contender, where it's more in that 6 to 8 range instead of that top 5 range. And Wicked for Good, we've been banging the drum all year long of this is going to be another success for Universal, getting a bunch of tech nominations, changing some of its nominations out from last year where it may drop score, but it adds a song, still getting to those double digits. It's just now, can Grande actually win? Or is she kind of the season's leader for Best Supporting Actress until it eventually switches elsewhere? And that's kind of where we have our Best Picture lineups agreeing. Those are 7 movies that I think we both agree are the top 7 in the race. And then 8, 9, 10 is that where I think a lot of people start to open up what are these movies going to be. But I think that most people, you and I'm sure do agree with this, our number 8 would be Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, you and I held strong. We have held strong from when it premiered at Venice to good reviews, but not great reviews. We've held strong, and we've had commenters all year long being like, you guys are crazy with Frankenstein. This is insane. It's not getting anything. It's just continued to perform well. And we've both seen it, I think, in the past 2 weeks. And it's phenomenal. Dude, it's
Hmm.
phenomenal. It's everything it needs to be. It is a giant tech player. Like, you can engrave Tamara Deverell's name on the production design Oscar right now. There is no, I don't think Wicked can do it. I don't think Wicked can beat Frankenstein for production design. It's absolutely jaw-dropping stuff. And then makeup and hair, it's a viable winner. I think without Wicked, it would win costume design likely. This is a major tech player, and having reviews and audience support to back it up, this is stronger than Nightmare Alley, which got Guillermo del Toro into Best Picture before. Outside of Train Dreams, this is Netflix's best reviewed film, and I think it's going to become clear that this was Netflix's big dog all along.
This can be a potential top five movie behind everything that you just said of its technical prowess, of how much love there just is for Guillermo del Toro. Because even after that initial Venice Telluride back to back, of people being like, kind of whatever. The fact that everyone kept coming back to is, well, Guillermo, this is his passion project. We love the guy. We want to give this film another shot. And what we saw from Toronto is people will go out in droves to see whatever he does. Even before any of the reviews, this was a top three, like, pre-selected, like, we want to see type movie from the festival. And then obviously it places top three when it hits Netflix for streaming. I think this is going to be number one at least for a week, if not longer. And I just think we're going to see throughout the season is this film will continue to overperform. One, because of how fine-tuned the texts and the crafts are, but because of Guillermo's attachment to this. Its overperformance is Jacob Elordi in supporting actor, where he isn't going to get in everywhere, but places that really respond to Frankenstein, I think he will show up in their supporting actor lineup, where we're going to have the question on Oscar nomination morning, is Elordi going to get in for a performance where he only says one word for half of his screen time?
Netflix overall is they're fantastic with getting acting nominations. Who do they have outside of Jacob Elordi? Like, are we
I
really
would
still riding for George Clooney or Adam Sandler?
George Clooney, I think he is the best shot of the entire Netflix catalog. A House of Dynamite does not have a specific actor you
Mm.
could throw a nomination to. If this film was stronger, I would say like screenplay and casting could happen. But as we've seen, this film is tanking down and down and down the ranks. Train Dreams is, I just think, a film that isn't going to prosper in the way that some people want it to. I think it's just too small of a movie. It's too quiet of a movie. And Joel Edgerton is good. He's on screen for almost the entire runtime. But with Netflix, if you're going to campaign someone, are you going to do Joel Edgerton or are you going to do George Clooney? And Clooney is very showy, giving what I think a lot of people would say is his best performance in maybe over a decade.
I haven't seen Jay Kelly yet. I can't go in on that. But A House of Dynamite has dropped down to my number 19 on the Best Picture list because, goddamn, this has been crucified by the general public. People hate this movie.
I don't get it.
I get it. It is deliberately unsatisfying. This is the type of movie that is meant to make you go, that was it?
I
The
understand
point.
that part. I just don't understand people not understanding that.
People are dumb,
Continuously
Dylan.
see they are dumb, but like you would expect people, especially in like this community, to at least understand that. I don't want to get on a House of Dynamite tangent. I really enjoyed it, so maybe I'm biased.
It's very close for me to fully dropping off of my list of possibilities for the Oscar altogether. But I think that there is still potentially an angle for it, even if I think it's more and more unlikely by the day. Just going back to Train Dreams, I have this at my number 11 right now because I think it has really been picking up steam. It is Netflix's most critically acclaimed contender. I just want to see what it does when it releases. If it can really keep that up, we might have another All Quiet on the Western Front on our hands. Not in the sense of how big that film was, but in the sense of Netflix clearly not expecting something to be a major awards player, but because of other films flopping, it could really build up. And of course, there is still a possibility that when we get to these awards bodies, these industry bodies, Jake Kelly could prove to be a little bit less mixed. This is a movie that is designed for industry. It's inside baseball. I just need to see those first round of nominations. If it's missing from the Golden Globes or the Critics' Choice nominations, I don't see a way for it to come back.
There's one movie that, if you're a long time subscriber here, you know I'm very much pro for Avatar, Fire and Ash, and I think that until this movie comes out, I get if you want to be a denier, but I think that Cameron has shown time and time again they just get shit done, and I think that regardless of whatever prospects you think this can get in terms of nominations, I think especially this year, looking at our field, production design, visual effects, picture, and sound is a good enough package with the cultural relevance and box office appeal that Avatar: The Fire and Ash has to get into our Best Picture lineup of 10. Because the movies that you're looking to go against are films that could either blank or maybe just get one or two nominations, while Avatar is securely in three. And maybe there's a chance, I'm not saying it will increase, but maybe there's a chance it can add some of those nominations from the first one back. I still currently have Begonia in due to, I
Oh,
think, its
crazy.
potential nomination package. You can call it crazy, but I mean, Emma Stone, after seeing almost every lead actress contender there is besides Cynthia Erivo, I don't really see the reason for her being on the outside looking in. I think due to the way that Focus is pushing this movie so far, due to the reception, especially from general audiences so far, that this film is going to keep itself in the conversation. And I think what we see typically happen in these league categories is the bigger names usually prevail at the end of the day. So I think with Stone, with screenplay, and with the potential for score, could find its way into that 10th slot there. I guess I get some of the arguments out there for the Testament Van Lee. I think Testament Van Lee maybe has more passion, but I think Testament Van Lee also has so many more detractors for it, considering the fact that some of the strongest aspects of the movie are going to be deemed ineligible, like its score from Daniel Bloomberg. I think it could struggle to find its overall package because then it's safe read and costumes,
Wait, why
but
do you think the score is going to be ineligible?
the score is derivative of the Shakers songs, and it's not
Oh.
on their FYC page currently. I also should add, I'm not a huge fan of Ann Lee. My screening, I would say there's maybe 900 people there. I would say a third of them walked out by halfway inside the movie, but the people who stayed throughout seemed to really enjoy the movie. I didn't. The people I was there watching the movie didn't. Searchlight, if they get this movie in, it shows Searchlight is clearly the goats at campaigning. I just think Ann Lee's going to play out something like Jackie, where its lead could get in, maybe a tech or two, but picture is just too alienating to find its way in. And that's kind of where I'm battling at the moment is, do I keep Begonia, which I can see screenplay, I can see Stone, I can see maybe a tech implements if lead actor is this vacant? Do I put in Jay Kelly, which just seems doesn't have the overt passion but could connect with the industry crowd? Or do I go with something that just doesn't feel right? But I do agree with you that no other choice has passion. But I think watching the Neon Big Three, it's the most unfriendly Academy movie of the three. I think Accent actually, in my opinion, is the most Academy bait of the three, which I know you very much disagree
That's
with. Uh,
insane.
I think it fits what the modern academy wants to go out and wants to support, especially from its international contenders. And just the thing I keep hearing about No Other Choice is people say it's fun, it's great, but it's too long. And by the end, they're just like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it to the sense of some of these other movies out there. And I think with Neon's totem pole at the moment, their number three, I don't know, can get in over some of the other movies I've mentioned already.
Do you mind if I pitch you on something? I am warming up to the idea of weapons. This is possibly a strong contender for the PGA nomination. It could very, very possibly get into SAG. It is such a big ensemble cast, and there's a lot of love around Amy Madigan. I think that this is potentially a baity film for SAG. And with disqualifications, this is in at WGA. Right now, I have a package for this as supporting actress for Amy Madigan and with House of Dynamite severely, severely underperforming. I have slotted this in as my fifth spot in original screenplay. So if it's got screenplay and it's got supporting actress, I think it's in the conversation. And I don't run it past Warner Brothers to get three nominations in here. I think it's very possible that they could. How cool would that be?
And I think a lot of your reasoning behind weapons is why I've recently moved another film super far up because it would be off the same package of a potential makeup of a potential original screenplay slot five, and this time moving supporting actress to lead actor with Sony Pictures Classics with Blue Moon. This fits the typical mold of the Sony Pictures Classics sleeper model that they continuously overperform year in and year out, where maybe this does miss picture. I currently don't have it in picture, but I think that Ethan Hawke is looking great for that leading actor slot number four. He's someone who has industry cachet. He's giving one of his best performances in his career, at least his best performance in probably a decade with Boyhood. And then it's playing a real life person with Sony Pictures Classics behind him. Then at that point, if he's in the conversation, makeup, they sometimes do their own thing. And the makeup work here is pretty good. And screenplay, we have an open fifth slot. Blue Moon, Weapons, Jay Kelly, House of Dynamite. Which sounds the best there? Take your choice.
Yeah, I agree with you on Blue Moon, but it's one of those things where I can see it get in screenplay, I can see it get in actor and makeup, but I can't see any world where this gets into Best Picture. The
I agree.
feeling that I have with this movie is that there is not going to be a ton of passion. It's too small, it's too contained, but it can get those other categories that don't really require passion. They just require an empty field. I'll keep it top five in actor, top five in makeup, but I don't think I'd even rank it top 20 in picture because I just don't see an angle for it.
Yeah, I currently have it down like the 20 to 25 range. I just feel Blue Moon after coming out of it the other day just gives off this like living energy from a few years ago. As I did throughout that year, and you told me don't do this, denied it. It was saying, oh, this movie's too small. It's not showy enough. And then it just kept happening. It kept showing up. Bill Nye, he kept getting into lead actor. Screenplay where they had the open slot would fit it in. And then eventually it got both of those nominations. And you could argue was probably top 10 for something like score as well. And it didn't get that nomination, but it hit some of the precursors. So Blue Moon could maybe follow in that footsteps. And I guess just talking about some of these other contenders that we aren't taking serious for picture anymore, but have continued to drop and drop and drop. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. We eventually caved and put it into our best picture lineups, but off rip, we were like, no, it's a Scott Cooper movie. It's the year after A Complete Unknown. History tells us these don't happen 2 years in a row. History tells us that Scott Cooper does not deliver the goods for a picture nomination. And we've seen that the audiences have not come out for this movie. It's got a whatever cinema score. Its Metacritic isn't great. Its box office is a lot lower. And I'm at the point where it's Jeremy Allen White or bust, but I feel pretty comfortable taking him out for someone like Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon.
Absolutely. I mean, Deliver Me from Nowhere fits the spot of the middlebrow dad movie. But if the dads aren't going out for it, what is one of those audience movies without an audience? But to be honest, Dylan, I mean, you have it top 10. I kind of feel the same about Begonia, where, it's underperformed in basically every metric for me. It is not doing well with critics. It's not doing extremely well with audiences. To be fair, this isn't one that relies on audience love, but it does rely on critic love. You have a few avenues for Best Picture, and all of them come down to how much are people talking about the movie. Obviously, critics and audiences do not vote on the Oscars. So, does their opinion really matter? Not really. What it matters for is just like, how do you get in front of people's eyes? How do you convince people that you are one of the more important movies of the year? And the angles for that are you're either beloved by critics, which means people are talking about the movie as one of the best of the year, as something you have to see, which then catches the attention of voters, or audiences go out for a movie and they hype the movie up as one of the best of the year. Even if critics don't really care about the movie, you can still get in front of people if you are one of the most popular movies. Right now, Begonia doesn't have either of those. And so what it's relying on is the industry to find it themselves. And I don't see that happening. I think its best chance is adapted screenplay, but once I saw Frankenstein, I took Begonia out because Frankenstein was much more writery than I expected. And I don't think you can stop Rian Johnson from getting another screenplay nomination. So Begonia right now is, for me, a zero nomination movie with a chance of adapted screenplay and Emma Stone.
Some people may be like, where Song Sung Blue? It's where we
No.
expected it. I think last time I saw its Metacritic was in the low 60s, upper 50s.
Yeah.
Could be wrong with that, could have changed. But Kate Hudson or bust there. Looking at some other films, Rental Family is this thing on. I just don't feel like have the packages. I think that if Searchlight has something, it's Ann Lee. And even then with Ann Lee, I just don't know how many people are going to cling on to that. But one other movie I do want to shout out, where I don't believe this is going to be real for the Oscars, but could get some stuff in other places, would be The Voice of Henry Rajab. I think that if people rally behind this movie in terms of more like critics groups and stuff like that, it can rise the ranks to get into the top 20, but I don't think it's going to break through in terms of like the top 15.
Yeah, the struggle with that one is distribution. It just recently got a distributor,
It
but
did. It's not a huge one, but
it's not a huge one, which is disappointing for it. I'd also just want to shout out The Secret Agent, which I do have at number 17. I feel like even though I've been talking down on this movie all year long, Wagner Moura is in the conversation. And despite being Neon's number 4 in line, There is still a ton of passion for this movie. Is it I'm Still Here? No, it's not. It will not have enough priority for it. And it sort of falls into the same camp as it was just an accident in terms of, like I talked about earlier, the three Neon movies that I have in my top 10 all are going after different audiences, but The Secret Agent falls second in line for the highbrow pick. So that puts it firmly out of my top 10. I also think that while the other three Neon movies all can get director and screenplay, potentially an actor or casting and something else, The Secret Agent really only has picture and actor because I don't see it getting in director and I don't see it getting in screenplay. When are you seeing Die My Love?
Thursday.
When, you're seeing
So
Thursday.
maybe
Okay,
by the
so you
time
can
this
see
video is
if
out, I'll see it.
your early best picture prediction pans out for you.
Hey man, like I said, I want to take a big swing, and if I swung and fell on my face, I'd rather do that because my 1B was Begonia, and clearly that's not much better. But it's
Yeah.
crazy. The one year that we don't include the early frontrunner is the one year where it actually happens. And this year, that movie probably is winning Best Picture.
Yeah. We resisted one battle because we've been too lucky with spotting movies early that aren't actually anything. And we called a few of those this year. We called a few of them, but we absolutely fucked up on one battle after another.
And we can throw Hamnet into that category as
Yeah,
well.
we totally can.
And this is the thing we preach on this channel about test audiences. Do we trust them? Do we not? And clearly, these are two movies that tested. At least the word on the street was not very well. And this isn't from leaker sites. This is from people that we know. So it just again reinforces, hey, who are these people? What type of movies do they typically like?
We learn the hard lesson every year that test screenings are worthless and you can't trust them at all. They can be wrong. It is a small sample size. But that's our top 20. And of course, we'll see you guys in like 3 months because we're both busy. No, we're gonna be back again soon. I'm done my shooting period for films at school, so I have a bit more time. Dylan, you're settling into that new job, so we are going to be back with more videos very soon. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking with us. As always, my name's Matt.
My name's Dill, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.